Welcome back to Dog Health News. I'm Roberta Chatis, and this show is dedicated to a very small dog named Cricket, who flew here on 2 planes all the way from Virginia. And I want to introduce Margaret Ditty. Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
And your wonderful and brave Cricket, this little Chihuahua who weighs something like 7 pounds. She has a custom designed dress that we're going to talk about and describe a little bit more. But the reason that Margaret is here is a very special reason, because it's the story of a little dog who you loved from the very beginning. So let's start with finding Cricket, and then we'll work through her story. Thank you so much.
I wandered into a pet store 7 years ago, which my husband tells me I should not do, but anyway, I did. And there was this darling little 2.5 pound Chihuahua, and she looked at me, and her little butt got, she got down on her butt, and she barked at me, and I said, oh my God, she is a dream. So the clerk at the store brought me into one of those little rooms where you can visit with your dog. Mm-hmm. And we got in there, and she was just such personality, such spunk. She didn't shake like Chihuahuas do, and she was just absolutely adorable, just 2.5 pounds of cuteness. Mm-hmm. So she pretty much had me at woofs. I called my husband up and begged him to, she was my present for the entire year. He didn't have to get me anything else. And so he finally caved, and so I brought my Cricket home.
And the sweetest face in the world. I've spent the whole day with you yesterday, and I am in love. So she was pretty much of a healthy dog until when? What happened, Margaret?
About October of last year, my husband started seeing some stiffness in her legs, shaking her head a lot. And so he thought, maybe she's getting diabetes. And so he brought her in, or an ear infection, and he brought her in, and the vet just said, oh, it could be a middle ear infection, gave her some antibiotics and said, use as needed.
So you started off with an possibly an ear infection.
Okay. Yeah, and then we brought her back into another vet, and she said, oh, it could be a liver shunt problem, and which could be fatal, and that ended up not being that. Finally, we brought her into a vet. Now, these are months later, another vet. In January, very at tail end of January, to Dr. Elliott of Acredale Animal Hospital in Virginia Beach, and he was astute enough to say, you know what, this dog's got some neurological problems. You need to get her into a canine neurologist ASAP, which we did, and that was in February. So on February 3rd, we drove up to Richmond, Virginia, and met with Bush Animal Services and their neurological group, and then we met with Dr. Higginbotham, and who said, yeah, after he did her examination, we got some neurological problems. We need to go ahead and do an MRI and possibly a spinal tap.
Now, this dog weighed around 5 pounds at the time. So you can imagine what our audience should only know what this means for a little dog to go through these tests.
Yeah, especially a spinal tap, which I came to find out that she could not have a spinal tap because she has a Chiara-like malformation in her brain. So they came back that day. They sent us out for a couple hours. They went ahead and did the MRI, and they couldn't do the spinal tap because of that malformation. And Dr. Higginbotham, who is her neurologist at Bush Animal Services, looked really grim, and he came out and he said, I got some bad news for you. And so my husband and I are like what? What could be so bad? And he said she's got GME, but it's...
And that's GME, are the 3 initials.
For granulomatous, I have such a hard time saying this, granulomatous meningoencephalitis.
Exactly.
It's a mouthful. But it's morphed into NME, which is the necrotizing, necrosis basically of the brain, where the white cells are eating brain matter, and it's not differentiating any type of brain matter. It just says virus, doesn't know which one it is, and it just says, let me just eat the brain. So I said, oh, great. And he looked really grim. He said, I have to hospitalize this dog. If not, she's just not going to make it. I need to give her immediate chemo treatment and put her on a high dose of pred. So, yeah. So we're like, okay, well, we want to save our little dog. And so he kept her overnight and did that. And we brought her home from there. And since then, it's just been
It's definitely been one thing after the next
another.
thing. And I know even though I've heard this story before, because of our relationship, every time I hear it, I'm just in awe of what you had to go through to just find out what the result was. And I think that's where I want to start talking about the symptoms and what people really need to look out for if something's wrong with their dog.
Well, yeah, I mean, you need to really focus in on your dog's behavior. You need to know your dog, obviously, the signs and symptoms, and you can have a couple of them or you can have all of them. You might not have them all, but you might have a combination of them, which is blindness, drowsiness, circling, seizures, weakness of the hind legs, or all four of the legs at the same time. And then you have this constant head pressing, like Cricket would take her little part of her face and just press it up to my nose and my chin. And that was odd behavior for her. I thought she was being affectionate, but it wasn't affection. It was, listen, my head hurts, Mommy. And so she would press it up against me. So these are, like I said, you can have some of these together, or you can possibly have all of them.
And some of the bigger dogs, because bigger dogs can get this disease as well, they will actually push their head against a wall. So that's something to look at because they're trying to get relief from the pain.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dr. Becker in her own video said that she felt that they had constant migraines. And I would imagine, I mean, if you've got something like this neurologically going on in your brain where your white cells are eating your brain matter, you've got to have pounding headaches.
Really. Which brings us to the expenses that go along with this. And I'm just going to show our audience a pamphlet here of bills. We're not going to go through this, but when I took a look at what you have spent in order to get from point A, what is wrong with my dog, to we know what's wrong with this dog. I mean, anything from $15 to $42 to an MRI for $1,800. These things add up.
Yep.
And some people just can't handle it because dog health insurance sometimes doesn't cover it. How did you handle it?
My husband and I always put money aside for her vaccinations and her well checkup. So, I mean, we felt we didn't need pet insurance because we were good savers. We had no idea that a dog could be affected this drastically by any type of disease, and that the monumental amount of money that they charge you. We handled it by, we used our tax refund. We also opened up a care credit to kind of wait until we got our IRS refund. Not that we didn't have a savings account, we do, but we kind of like borrowed from Peter to pay Paul type of thing. But we had no idea that, okay, one treatment of, a second treatment of chemo could run $2,200, or, just an individual treatment of Lumistine, and, the drive up to Richmond, to see the vet for $175, and then, the treatment itself, the pay for the pill, the pay for all the blood work they got to do to make sure she's in a position to be able to receive this very powerful chemo treatment. So, I mean, we were just dumbfounded. And I would say to any pet parent, you get a pet, don't ever think that you have enough saved. Be sure to get pet, insurance on your dog. Right. I mean, you owe them that much. Otherwise, you might be in a position where you have to put them down for something that you could possibly treat if you had the finances. So in conjunction with your pet insurance, you could at least, help them fight to stay alive until you can get them into remission.
So I know our audience probably wants to see Cricket a little bit more in action, and then we'll talk a little about the immune system and the drugs and the meds.
We have her in her doggy walker, not that she can't walk with her little lovely Dr. Busby toe grips, but the dress is so heavy. And Kenya Lewis with I can't remember the name of the company. It was Yorkies.
Yes. It is
I wrote
but
it down.
her name is Kenya.
Kenya Lewis, and I believe that she was with Yorkies. Dynamicyorkies.com. She designed her dress for her special day, because with the pred belly going on, we had a hard time finding a really cute outfit. So she kind of went over the top for her with a little bow and her little darling little outfit, which I'm going to end up taking off here shortly because she's not so happy with it.
We also want to see Cricket and how she's handling her challenges.
Yes.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I could put her on the floor right now, and you could see how she could walk. She walks with the dress, with the weight of the dress, in conjunction with the ataxia, makes it very difficult for her to walk. So, and these even with her little toe grips, bless her heart. So sometimes she can walk, and see, down she goes. And that's because she can't, the ataxia in the brain keeps her from being able to walk normal. Now, we take off the little dress, and we just recently put on the Dr. Busby toe grips, and actually talked with Dr. Busby because I was so thrilled that it actually helped her be able to not so much walk, but be able to, when she slips down and spays on the floor, that she can actually get herself back up, which is huge. That gives her some independence from this little doggy walker, because she couldn't get herself up off of tile floors and wood flooring. But see, keep her, don't let her fall. Grab her tail.
I grabbed her tail. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Come on, Cricket.
Hi, honey.
Stay here, baby.
Hi. So I'll hold on to her for a minute and see if she
And she's excited. She probably wants more
stays with
water.
me. What do you think?
Mommy wants water. Wants water? The pred makes them very thirsty. It's one of the side effects. So
And
they're
that's
constantly
prednisone, right?
The prednisone is one of the side effects of this drug, but it's life-saving. It keeps her alive. It means she cannot be without it at this point.
Now she may not want to stay with me, although she loves me, but I'm
take
going
her.
to hand her back to you. There you go.
Oh, okay.
All right.
She's like, okay, I'm fine, Mommy.
What a
You got that
difference.
dress off me. I'm gonna keep the bow on though, because it's just too cute with it between those big Chihuahua ears.
She is. And we had her walking around on my kitchen floor and slipping and sliding, and these miracle toe grips were
Amazing.
just from heaven, because she was able to walk around. What happens is her front paws cross each
Over
other,
from the ataxia.
and she loses. It's like falling on your elbow, and it's a continuing issue. But she was good in the grass, and she was good on rugs, and basically she hung in there an entire day with 2 plane rides and the 2 of us doting over her. So she is a pretty amazing dog, and it's going to be hard for me to let you go back to Virginia. But let's talk about the meds, the medications that she's using.
Basically, there's 2 types of chemotherapies that they give GME dogs, and there are immune-mediated medications that they give them. I'm going to try and say them. I'm no medical veterinary or whatever, but I can do my best. One of them is mycophenolate, which I have not given her. Corticosteroids, which is the prednisone. Azathioprine, cyclosporin modified, which is what she's taking. Cybidine injection, another chemotherapy. Leflunomide, another chemotherapy, which she hasn't had, but I'm looking into doing that with her. And then procarbazine. So those are the different immune-mediated medications that neurologists give dogs with GME. The chemotherapies of Cystar, which she had immediately when she first got diagnosed, where they do it, intravenously to her. And then the other one was Lumistine, which is a very powerful chemo that they give, and it's only once a month. And once she had it, her urine was radioactive for a week. That tells you how powerful it really is.
And by the way, there's costs to remove these radioactive.
Right. When they throw the pill away, they charge you because they have to put it in a special waste thing. It can't go into like your standard landfill for obvious reasons.
So when something like this happens to anyone's dog, you say to yourself, how could this happen? And one of the topics that we would like to address is what we think, or what Margaret has discovered might have been, and possibly is the reason, and that is vaccinations. So I'm going to let you address that. And would you like to put Cricket down, or keep holding her?
Well, she's pretty worked up, so I can try and put her in her little.
It's fine. You can keep holding her.
She might
I
settle
just want to
down.
make sure you're comfortable.
You're just
as
all
well.
excited. The primary reason I'm here
You'll be okay. You'll be okay. The primary reason you're here is to bring awareness to other people so that they don't have to go through this. And the realization is that this whole problem started after a vaccine. And what particular vaccine was that?
Thank you. It was her annual, the standard annual stuff that they give dogs. I don't know exactly which one. I have the list of, that I brought you. But, there's a quote, and this is why, I'm here doing this, is I believe the greatest privilege in this world is to use your freedom of speech for those who have no voice. And it was by Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais.
And it breaks my heart that these vets, they're supposed to protect our pets. And they know in their heart, just like humans, you don't get revaccinated every single year for childhood diseases, and it's the same thing with dogs. They have built-in immunities after they receive these shots. They have what is the word? Antibodies?
The antibodies.
Yeah,
sure.
built in after they receive all these shots. So it's really not necessary to revaccinate them. I realize the profit margin might be cut for them, but excuse me, they're there to protect and take care of our dogs. This is the veterinarian oath. Being admitted to the profession of veterinary medicine, I solemnly swear to use my scientific knowledge and skills for the benefit of society through the protection of animal health and welfare, the prevention and relief of animal suffering, not to create it, the conservation of animal resources, the promotion of public health, and the advancement of medical knowledge. I will practice my profession conscientiously with dignity and in keeping with the principles of the veterinary medical ethics. I accept as a lifelong obligation the continual improvement of my professional knowledge, and competence. Okay, well, if you know that this might be causing immune-mediated diseases in our dogs, then why would you want to risk that? And so pet parents need to stop thinking that their vets know everything, because I found that they don't. They can't even diagnose an immune-mediated disease. I cringe at the thought of thinking how many pets have died undiagnosed after vaccines because their pet parents had no idea and the vet had no idea that they were doing this. And I'm not saying that all vets are bad. I've met some really wonderful vets, especially after Cricket got sick. But, there's a lot of vets out there that, I realize the almighty dollar is the god, but to a lot of people, but it shouldn't be. These pets are precious. They have their own little souls. They love you unconditionally. I find them more loyal to me than any human being ever has been, just because it's their nature. They're just really, I think, a gift from God because of the way they are. You can get a titer test before you do any vaccines. Dr. Becker mentions at VaxiCheck for $20.
And that's Dr. Karen Becker.
Dr. Karen Becker. So that, I know some vets will charge an arm and a leg, but you don't have to. You go through VaxiCheck yourself and get a titer test. You have to consider the risks and the rewards. You can say no to your vet. And don't feel guilty. I remember my vet going, "Oh, you're such a good pet parent. Every single year you give her shots. The shots of a 125-pound dog to a 5-pound Chihuahua. That's like giving an adult-size shot to an infant. Think about it. Think about when you got your shots. Did you get them every single year after you grew up? You don't need to do this. They are built with a lifelong immunity. Dr. Becker's all kinds of articles regarding it. Don't take my word for it. Do your research. The voices against it are Dr. Ronald Schultz, Dr. Richard Pickham, Dr. Dodds, Dana Scott with Dog Naturally magazine. I mean, she is an advocate of and a great resource for helping you keep your pets, healthy. Dog Naturally magazine, Dana Scott. I take my hat off to her. God, I wish I'd read her articles before. I never would have revaccinated Cricket ever had I known that I would be putting her at health and create suffering for this little dog. I mean, there's just something innately wrong about this, and it needs to change. The laws need to change. I mean, there's commercial flea and tick medicines on the market that they know are killing these dogs, creating immune diseases in these dogs. These chemicals are not healthy for these dogs.
Well, what I think might also be the case is not all vets see this type of problem. So,
or if they do, they don't even know what they're looking at. That's the sad thing about it. Go back to school then. Get up to date on your CNS signs and symptoms, because people are depending on you. They're paying you good money to take care of their pets. You need to do what you need to do to help us. Why would we pay you money to make them sick or not be able to diagnose them? Learn what you need to learn. If I can learn it, I'm a mortgage underwriter. I have nothing to do with any kind of veterinary, but I had to have a crash course to save my dog. And it shouldn't have had to be that way, Roberta. I shouldn't have had to go to the late nights, research, and looking into all of this stuff.
No, but it drove you to start this website, and I want you to tell our audience where to reach you so that they can get some information, because you are so passionate. And this isn't just because you're looking to make some money out of this. You are wanting to bring the information out so other people don't have to go through as much trouble as you have. And it's heartbreaking. Cricket is just the most precious little dog I think I'll ever meet, honestly, because I see how much she is fighting. And she's put up with us for a couple of days now. So we want to help her. We want to help all of the other dogs that need this type of help. So tell our audience how to get you.
You can find me at petparentsfightinggme.ning.com. This is a site that I created for just to benefit not just dogs that are suffering GME, but also healthy pet parents have healthy dogs. You need to be able to learn the signs and symptoms. There's a lot of good holistic options in there that you can look into to help keep your dog healthy. I mean, I've had to change Cricket's diet. Dr. Karen Becker recommended me to go ahead and give her hormone-free meat, which I have to cook. Obviously, you can't give raw meat. Yeah, I know, you made it for me the other night. You have to give them a good meat, because they are, after all, dogs. And hormone-free, you cook it. She can't have it raw because of her immune system being crashed down to the ground. But so I use that with Honest Kitchen. I mix it up. It's a good recovery diet. And it's, helping to keep her strong so she can fight this disease. I don't know how long, it's a very life-threatening disease. I don't know how long she'll be on this earth. So I'm going to give her the best options that I can to help her fight, let her little body work towards fighting against this disease with obviously the conventional medications that she is required to take to keep her alive on a monthly basis.
I know. Tell everyone what you have to do in the morning to get started with Cricket, what your process is.
First thing in the morning, there's a supplement that I give her. It's called Nutramex Denarin tablets, and it's an antioxidant, and it protects her liver from the prednisone. Because the prednisone can start destroying the dog's liver on a long-term basis, especially at the higher doses. Now, once I can get her down to a low floor dose, then that'll be different, but I'd still probably keep her on it just because it's prednisone. I also give her organic milk thistle in the evening. Again, that protects her liver. It helps her liver function. That's a supplement. I'm also got her on Charlotte's Web hemp oil, and I do that because she did have one seizure. Dogs with GME, if they haven't had seizures, will eventually start having seizures. I figure if it can work for infants and save their lives, it could work for Cricket, and other dogs with GME are on it now. It was recommended to me by a friend. And it is the hemp oil extract, and it helps with migraines, inflammation, and seizures. And so she hasn't had a seizure since. And I just, put a couple of drops in her dog food, and she just
really
laps it
helps.
right up. I give her Ultra Neuro Recovery by American Biologics. It's a nerve tissue health supplement that Dr. Karen Becker recommended. And I give that to her every day. She's been on it for several months. Maxi omega-3 oil for dogs. Dogs need a lot of omega-3, 6 and 9. It also has A and D and E and biotin in it. I give her Dr. McCullough krill oil. It's for brain and nerve function, and it's from the fish that are up in the colder waters. That's really, really good for their brain.
Now, if you're listening to this long list of supplements and medications, this could make you pretty exhausted even before the day begins. Not to mention the little toe grips from Dr. Busby to help this little dog, Cricket, to be able to stabilize herself on the ground. I mean, honestly, for you to come all the way from Virginia with Cricket to let our audience know what this really means in the flesh is significant. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to just be here and spread the word so that people can stop the disease much more quickly, because if you notice a symptom and you get help, it can be a life or death type of a decision.
Yeah, and I want to thank, what got started was I reached out to a lady that runs a website for Chihuahuas. Her name is Kathy Bendevis.
Yes.
And she runs ilovemychi.com, and I used to post on there through Facebook, please stop vaccinating your dogs, look at my Cricket, look at my Cricket. So she picked it up, and bless her heart, she did the first article. And then she took the podcast that you and I did, and she placed it right on her ilovemychi.com. She feels so passionately about it to share it with all her 100-plus members, because Chihuahuas are a very popular breed of dog.
They are.
And she did that with no financial gain. And then I'm having hosting a pet expo on GME in Virginia Beach. And she, bless her heart, has volunteered 2 days of her time just to help me spread awareness to pet parents, because toy breeds especially are at huge risk because of the size of the vaccines alone. I mean, before you even get into whether or not it's really even necessary, they don't dose it down.
Well, the message is loud and clear, and I think that everyone who's watching our show will never forget Cricket, and they'll never forget you, Margaret Ditty, for all the work you're doing. And I hope that they will check out your website, and I hope that
Where
we
they'll
have
get-
these.
They'll get a bumper
This is
sticker
true.
to spread awareness.
We have a bumper sticker here,
We've got,
and we have these bracelets.
yes, we do. We have a brochure that I use in that you can download, and when you're going through, like, say, a drive-through or whatever, I ask the question, do you have a dog? Most oftentimes, yes, I do. What? Oh, do you have a toy breed especially? Oh, yes, I do. Well, can you take these little brochures and put them in your lunchroom? No problem. They'll even post for pictures. Everybody loves their dog. People want to protect them. And there's a reason that they do. Enormous love for their pets.
So, Margaret, we are going to end right here with a plea for our audience to help us bring some awareness. And we'll be getting some brochures out there, too. So thank you so much for being on Dog Health
you,
News.
Roberta.
And thank you, Cricket. Here, I'm going to
her
hold
GME
you.
champion.
Oh, yes, this little dog. And this is Roberta Chatis with Dog Health News. Please take care of your dogs, and we'll be back with another show soon. Okay.